Welcome to the Culinary Fighter Podcast with your host, Phil Logreco. He'll be talking to world-class boxers, promoters, trainers, managers, and of course the fans. The fans have a voice, and it needs to be heard. Here on the Culinary Fighter Podcast.
Culinary Fighter here, guys. I got my man, the Magic Man, on the line. Paulie, you're doing Palermo. Get five. What's going on, bro?
Yo, what's up, bro? Just doing Palermo. I always do a Sicily big.
You do it big,
Sicily, and I'm gonna do it Sicily for a little while, actually.
Are you telling me that you're moving there? What are you doing?
I'm actually not gonna come back for a while. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be here for a few months. You know.
Nice. Okay, cool. Let's go 0 to 100 real quick. Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua. They did the press conference in Saudi Arabia. Now they're in New York. I just watched the press conference. I don't know if you watched it. I'm not liking.
I didn't see today's press conference, honestly, but I saw some pictures of the one yesterday.
Right, I saw the press conference today. Andy Ruiz looked very calm, like himself. I don't know, something about Anthony Joshua's aura that it's kind of throwing me off, man. I mean, I don't see like the same guy that's confident, the same guy that's that we've seen before. What do you think about? Does that make a difference, or that's just irrelevant?
No, I think I see a very focused Anthony Joshua. I see an Anthony Joshua that's actually very angry at the fact that he got beat by this guy the first time around, and I feel like Ruiz kind of suckered him, into underestimating him by being nice all fight week, by being nice throughout that whole promotion, and by, acting almost like a fan who was appreciative of being there instead of being the opponent who was trying to take his head off, and I think it's kind of suckered Joshua mentally. And he kind of underestimated him mentally, not physically, on fight night. I think I see a more focused Joshua now. I think I see a Joshua who actually has that mean streak, that spite in him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Ruiz is the cat's out of the bag with Ruiz, so he doesn't have to play the nice guy role anymore. I think I also see some spite in Ruiz, who's coming in as a champion now, So I think it's both guys kind of mentally with a little bit of an edge to them throughout this press tour, these press conferences. But I don't think there's anything different about Joshua's aura. I've worked a lot of Joshua fights in the past, right, and he's always usually got this focused aura. I think for the last promotion he was a bit maybe a little bit too relaxed, and I think this time around he understands the danger of the situation. And I think, I see like he has a real mean streak in him,
So if you got you $100, who you gonna put it on?
If I got what?
If you got $100, who you gonna bet it on?
Listen, I said the first time around not to underestimate Andy Ruiz, but I didn't pick him to win. I also think Andy Ruiz shouldn't be underestimated again, but I didn't learn my lesson the first time. If I had to hedge somebody, I'm gonna probably go with Joshua again. But I was wrong the first time. I don't think Ruiz should be underestimated. And just because I pick Joshua doesn't mean I think I'm underestimating Ruiz, because I think Ruiz is a quality guy. I was one of the only guys who was actually telling people not to sleep on Ruiz, that Ruiz was going to give a good fight regardless of the results of the first fight, And he did more than give a good fight. He won the fight. So I think from that respect, I think Ruiz has earned his respect, and I think I give it to him. But I also think that Joshua is a better fighter and can do much better this time around. I think in the end, if I had to really put a gun to my head, I'd go with Joshua, but I wouldn't give the most confident pick, because right. I'm not going to sleep on Ruiz.
Aside from Lennox Lewis, okay, history tells us when there's a rematch and you've been knocked out that bad and there's an immediate rematch, history tells us it only becomes worse. Right? It happened to Lennox Lewis against Oliver McCall, then happened to Lennox Lewis against Asim Rahman. He took care of business, but I can't think of any other fighter that was knocked out bad and got himself a rematch and he actually won. That's what boxing history tells us. So I'm gonna go with the Ruiz.
Well, you know what it is. Most of the time, you don't see a rematch of a bad knockout. Because usually if it's a bad knockout and there's a rematch, it's usually because the favorite got knocked out.
Joshua was the favorite and he got knocked out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I usually don't see these kind of rematches when there's a guy that gets knocked out. Usually a guy gets knocked out and there's no rematch because a knockout is an emphatic win. There's usually not need for a rematch. So there's not. The reason I'm saying that is because there's not really a lot of situations that you can kind of gauge that. There's only a handful of situations where you can kind of make that pick. And of course, you already eliminate 2 of those times by eliminating Lennox Lewis's wins. Well, then of course you're only going to get only a few more handfuls of those, and yeah, you're going to have the other results. But really, if you include Lennox
Yeah,
Lewis,
but if you find the same guy,
it's probably closer to like 30-40%.
Yeah, but
because
if you find the same,
most of the time it's not a rematch anyway.
Yeah, but if you find the same guy, usually if you get knocked out the first time and it was bad, it wasn't like just like a average stoppage. He fell down like 3-4 times. Usually becomes worse. Absolutely. Usually becomes worse.
I think it depends, bro. I don't know. Chiquita Gonzalez and Michael Carbajal fought 3 times. They each split. I don't know, bro. I think there was a knockout as well there as well. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's probably closer to 50-50 because most of the time you don't even have a rematch when there's a knockout like that. So that you now by putting all the times that there's a rematch, if you eliminate the Lennox Lewis wins, you're eliminating almost half those fights probably. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not a lot of times that there's a rematch from a knockout loss. I do see your point though.
I mean, Riddick versus Holyfield.
Yeah.
3 times, right?
Was another one, but that wasn't a knockout.
Yeah,
that one wasn't a knockout. The third time was a knockout, but that was the end of it.
You have Andrew Golota versus Riddick Bowe, where Andrew Golota almost took care of Bowe twice, and then he fucked himself over with that bullshit on the low blow.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think these kind of things. I think things actually prove that you can't really call what's going to happen in the rematch. These kind of things kind of tell you that. You have Meldrick Taylor and Julio Chavez. That was a more emphatic win by Chavez in the rematch, but Chavez also didn't give the guy a rematch for 4 years. Wait until the guy was shot. So, I don't know if you can count that. I think a more emphatic one that proves your point is probably Ricardo Mayorga and Vernon Forrest.
Yeah.
Where Mayorga had the upset knockout in the first one, and then the rematch, he took care of business in the rematch as well with Vernon Forrest. So, I really think all of these examples kind of show that there's not really a guaranteed result in the rematch. You see times where the other guy wins. You see the guy and evens things up. You see sometimes where the guy wins again. And sometimes, like in the Golota Bowe situation, you see another crazy fight again. So I can't really tell you that there's a pattern here. I think the pattern shows you that there's no pattern probably. But I think I'm gonna slightly hedge to Joshua, but I wouldn't do it with all the confidence in the world. But if I had to put a gun to my head, I would pick Joshua.
Okay, so I take Andy Ruiz. You take Joshua. Whoever wins the bet, we have dinner at your favorite restaurant or my favorite restaurant. How does that sound?
All right. If they let me into Canada, we'll go to Canada.
They'll let you into Canada. Right. I told you we just have to make it some papers.
You got to give me a letter to that place.
We'll get it later. It's no problem. Right. We'll get the letter. We'll get whatever you want, man. So when you coming back?
I'm not coming back till probably mid-October. Probably I'll come back when I have a Showtime date. Really, Showtime's been kind of slow this year. So
okay, let's get into one more time since you mentioned Showtime. Deontay Wilder versus Ortiz. Why is this rematch happening?
Why is this rematch happening?
Yeah,
well, I'll tell you why. I think the first time was a good fight. There was some controversy in the first fight as well. It was Wilder was also hurt before coming back and finishing the job in emphatic fashion. But there was also some controversy with the 8th round. I mean, I think it has the recipe to be written for a rematch. Listen, if Wilder hadn't had the fight he had with Fury, then really the only fight you'd want to see a rematch for with Wilder would be the Ortiz rematch, right? I mean, but because Fury and Wilder was such a good fight, now people want to see the Fury fight. So it's not like Wilder and Ortiz is such a far-fetched fight. If Wilder and Fury hadn't had such a great fight, you'd probably want to be talking about a major fight between Wilder and Ortiz in a rematch, So
I mean, you have Josh Parker too.
I don't think this is it.
Who's also Joe Joyce, who's also a good heavyweight. I mean, there is a lot of level playing field. There's a lot of players in the heavyweight division.
But come on. I mean, Joe Joyce is a good heavyweight, but he struggled to beat Bermane Stiverne. And Bermane Stiverne showed up like 20 pounds heavier than
Joseph Parker. He's a good boxer. He's not bad.
Joseph Parker's a good boxer. He's a good boxer. But he kind of lost in a one-sided fight with AJ, so he's kind of putting him back in the mix. He also lost to Dillian White as well, so he's also in the mix where he doesn't. These guys are all top heavyweights, but they're not rendering themselves as dangerous as Ortiz has been. So I think the Ortiz fight is sort of a fight where aside from Fury, you kind of want to see this rematch again.
Let me ask you this: is Wilder the hardest hitting heavyweight ever?
He's in the conversation, I mean, if you tell me Wilder's the hardest punching heavyweight ever, I wouldn't tell you. I can't argue with you. Do I necessarily believe it? I mean, yeah, I love the way Mike Tyson punched in his prime. I love the way Vladimir Klitschko was punching in his prime.
George Foreman, Ernie Shavers,
George Foreman, Ernie Shavers. Yeah, it's
Sonny Liston.
Yes, I mean, listen, so it's definitely in the conversation.
Our paisan Marciano.
I think when you combine the quality of heavyweight plus the punching power, I think you have a case really to make Wilder really, at or near the top of the list, because not all those big punchers were the top of the list. Ernie Shavers was a big puncher, but he also wasn't the best of his era. Wilder's in the conversation to be the best of the era, and I think him and Fury's going to decide that.
Is the heavyweight division back or no? I think it's back.
Yeah, I think it's back. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I think it's back anytime you can't really, you really can't tell if there's a top guy, you know what I'm saying? Or if there's a guy that's really exciting a lot of people. Mike Tyson was definitely a definitive top guy, but a lot of people were excited about him. I think right now Wilder gets a lot of people excited, but there's not really a definitive top guy. So I think there's plenty of reason to be into the heavyweight division if you're a fan.
And here's the last one. Have you ever heard of these two gentlemen, Logan Paul and KSI? Do you know who these guys are?
I've heard their name. Recently I've heard their name more, so I think they're YouTube guys.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so Eddie Hearn is gonna promote this fight between Logan Paul and KSI in California at the Staples Center. Do you think this is good or bad for boxing?
I think it's great. Bro.